Hello everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Suzerain. Let me get my timer started and briefing on the women's rights situation. I was sitting in my office, I looked at the clock. 2:26 p.m. It was almost time for my appointment with Ciara on women's rights. There was a knock at the door. Ciara entered the room with folders in her hand. The door did not close behind her. Monica entered the room and stood next to Ciara. Mr. President? Anton, before we start, I just wanted to thank you for agreeing to this meeting. I've been dreaming about this ever since I volunteered with the Sordland League of Women. I can't believe the moment's finally here. I think both of you together could finally bring change to Sordland. I hope you're right. Ciara sat down on a chair and laid down the folder she was holding. We still have a long way to go before Sordish women are able to enjoy the same rights and privileges as men. Even as their counterparts in Arcasia, Nyatik, and Tana, we've been lagging behind on this for decades, Anton. And this isn't only a moral issue. I've seen enough revolutions in this world to understand the main driver of any change: money. She flipped a folder open and started pulling out documents. In United Cantana, law dictates that women earn the same wages as men in their respective fields. My research shows that this led to a 15.5% increase in productivity. You could say this had a direct influence on their superpower status. Arcasia passed laws ensuring maternity leave rights, child daycare centers, and tax deductions for working families. In turn, they experienced a 12.6% productivity boost and a flourishing economy. Both countries also have a significantly lower infant mortality rate, a statistic I believe is directly linked to the improved status of women. Our administration has successfully managed to pull Sordland back from the brink of economic ruin. She leaned back in her chair, so I'm asking, why stop there? Why not improve our economy and modernize our society at the same time? It's only logical. Monica handed me one of the documents that had a list of bullet points on it. The two of us talked it over, and these are the measures we believe are most urgently needed. I let my eyes wander down the list. Criminalizing domestic violence. I shouldn't have to tell you how crucial this is. It is utterly unbelievable that in this day and age, Sordish men are legally allowed to beat their wives. I agree, it's a travesty. I'm happy we're on the same page. As incidences are especially high within Bludish communities, I would also advocate for setting up a special domestic violence task force in collaboration with Bludish women's rights organizations. Monica looked at her strangely. Are you sure that's something we ought to focus on? The Bluds are different, they have their own rules. Monica, I'm surprised at you. We can't let women suffer under the patriarchy, no matter their ethnicity. We should lift up all Sordish women, Bluds included. We can discuss the particulars once the law is passed. Support for working mothers. Ciara nodded. It simply isn't fair that women in the workforce are punished for having children. Remember what I told you about Janice, my friend who basically got fired for becoming pregnant? That would never happen to a man. Paid maternity leave in state-subsidized daycare centers could be key to keeping more mothers employed. It's true, having children never hindered my career prospects. It shouldn't hinder a woman's either. Exactly. Moving on. Equal treatment in the workforce. That's an easy one. Right now, Sordland has one of the country's largest pay gaps between men and women. We need legislation ensuring that women doing the same job as a man is paid the same wage. We would also introduce quotas to get more women into positions of power in the assembly, for instance, or on the boards of corporations. Eventually, narrowing the pay gap is a far more pressing issue, as it would bring financial independence to countless lower-income women. Ciara, we never talked about this, but I always thought that with more women in power, higher status for all women would naturally follow. Women are starving because they don't make a living wage. That's a damn sight more important than your friend Janice being passed over for a promotion. I don't see a problem with quotas, but tackling the pay gap is much more urgent. Monica gritted her teeth. Thank you, Mr. President. Gender equality in public education. Ciara grinned. You know how much this means to me, and you've witnessed the dangers firsthand. The way girls are shut out of a real education unless their parents have the means to get them out of the public school system. So many bright minds are being lost. I wouldn't entirely demean the old system, Ciara. Deanna still loves her handicrafts classes. I'm not saying we'll take those away. Maybe boys should learn her handicrafts too. Monica burst out laughing. Imagine Frank in an apron. We've had this conversation, Ciara. I'm entirely on your side. Good, then we see eye to eye on the matter. That covers all subjects. What are your thoughts so far? You've made a good case for all these changes. Thank you. If we can pull this off before the elections, the Rain administration will make history. Let's talk about how we proceed. I want to establish a commission for women's rights in Sordland with me as its head. Our goal shall be passing and implementing a set of laws to solve the problems we just discussed. As the commission's spokeswoman, my responsibilities will be to make speeches and organize fundraisers. I will be the face of this movement while Ciara handles the groundwork. If I can show that the First Lady is behind this movement, many women will feel encouraged. Ciara gestured down at her outfit, especially those who aren't keen on pantsuits. The organization's name will be the Commission on the Status of Women. It's going to be damn hard getting your laws past the Assembly, I know, but even a watered-down version would be better than nothing. Monica lowered her voice. Anton, I'm not completely naive. I know what we're proposing would have its downsides, but every time I look at our daughter, I think about how I'd do anything to grant her a better future. I know you would too, just like you told me all those years ago. I hope we make the right decision. We both do. Ciara was looking studiously at the scratch on my desk. She blinked and turned back to us. That's right, Mr. President. They rose from their seats expectantly. I took a few minutes to think. I'll approve the creation of the commission and support your bill in the Assembly. Monica turned to her. That's all the excitement you can muster? You did it. We did it. Monica hugged Ciara. She smiled uncomfortably. It's not over yet, Monica. The true battle is in the Assembly. We'll celebrate once that's over with. I'll start gathering names for the commission tonight. Ciara started collecting her documents. She and Monica headed towards the door. Monica paused before leaving. I love you, Anton. I'll see you at home. I could hear Monica and Ciara talking excitedly to each other as the door closed behind them. I looked out my window over the city of Hallsword. It was a clear day outside. Okay, Swordish League of Women donation. I mean, I'll be honest, I think the campaign is maybe a little over halfway through. I don't think there's really much that would use personal wealth going forward. So I'm inclined to just do a hefty sum. And that's what we're gonna do. Let's see. Rain makes donation to Swordish League of Women. As Swordish women continue to march for equality, Anton Rain showed his solidarity by donating a large sum to the Swordish League of Women. This was not only a generous gesture, it marked the first time a president of Sordland acknowledged and personally supported the women's rights struggle. Reached for comment, a spokeswoman for the league expressed their gratitude to Rain while emphasizing that new policies will help women cause much more than finances, or will help the women's cause much more than finances. Is it femme washing or the real deal? President Rain made an unusually large out-of-pocket donation towards the Swordish League of Women, but has yet to budge on women's rights policies. Some of Rain's defenders argue that the issue has always been on his agenda, but had to take a back seat as other more urgent priorities sprang up during the first half of his term. This donation could be an indication that they're right, or an empty gesture meant to placate them without angering Rain's conservative base. Let's see, oh boy. I arrived at the city of Vesord with Peter after receiving an emergency meeting request from Esaf and Leilas. I had seen the reports of a recent issue that arose between the Swordish police forces and the Gendarme units at the city. I'm gonna absolutely butcher that word like 20 different times. I'll never pronounce it 100% correctly or consistently, even if I ever do pronounce it correctly. The report said that an operation against a drug trafficking gang in Vesord failed due to miscommunication. It was not hard to guess what this meeting was going to be about. We entered the city hall and made our way to the second floor. I could hear Esaf and Leila's voices echoing through the hall. I opened the doors to the meeting room. The two ministers did not even realize. This is unacceptable. How dare the police meddle in the affairs of the gendarmerie? It was your men who started this ridiculousness and meddled with an ongoing police investigation. Their voices were getting louder and louder. Rural security is my jurisdiction, and your men were way outside of Vesord. Please calm down and let's discuss this. What is going on? Apologies, but Miss Graff here fails to understand her place. No, Mr. Lancia, you are the one who does not understand his place. If you continue to do so, you will pay for it one day. That's enough. Calm down, both of you. I'm trying really hard to stay calm, Mr. President. Miss Graff, you are pushing your boundaries. Let us explain what happened. Mr. Gressier was tasked with the investigation of a drug trafficking ring in downtown Vesord. Downtown Vesord, okay. Why was he tasked with it out of curiosity? Because he's a... What? He's the chief of police for Greater Hallsword. Vesord is outside of Hallsword. Why would he be tasked with it? That doesn't make any sense to me. It should have been just some other person. But whatever. We found the evidence of a drug stash located in the outskirts of the city. We had to act quickly to put an end to the criminals we have been watching for some time. So immediately sent our police units to catch them and find the drugs in the compound. Mr. Lancia and his gendarmerie did not notify us that they were also moving against the same target. As a result, criminals got away and we lost months of progress. Isn't there a line of communication between you two? There is, but the Minister of Defense decided to avoid notifying the police department about the planned raid. The same could be said about you because the reports show that you knew about the gang and their stash in the countryside. I started tapping on the table with my fingers. How do we solve this so that it never happens again? I think this was the last drop. Internal security matters should be handed to Ministry of Interior completely. We are called the Ministry of Interior for a reason. We can't let any more screw-ups like this happen again. She looked at me. I want the gendarmerie to be transferred to the Ministry of Interior. What? Woman, are you out of your mind? Esov turned red with anger. He composed himself after a moment. Can't these branches just try to improve their communication? Just saying. I believe I just told you the fix to the problem, Mr. Vice President. Well, but with all due respect, there is no other way. Ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I won't hand over gendarmerie to her, out of the question. Why? Because it makes sense? Because the gendarmerie is also part of the military structure and must be tied to the defense. The police forces don't have the right equipment and reach to cover rural areas like the gendarmerie does. The police forces have certain units that are capable of conducting similar operations. I want to remind you about your promise, Mr. President. Yes, but my decision hasn't been made yet. I'm sure hope that you will keep your word. What promise? Now I see what is going on here. Enlighten us. What is going on here, Esov? Leela set us up to create this incident. That is going a bit too far. What proof do you have? There is no way that the police had arrived at the right time of a month-long search for the exact day and minute of the gendarmerie raid. This is conspiracy theory territory. It very much is a conspiracy theory. This kind of accusation is unheard of. It's nonsense. If I were you, I wouldn't believe a word Mr. Lancia says, Mr. President. Heed my word, Mr. President. When dealing with these situations, you need to always look at who gets what out of it. I won't stand idle by I won't stand idly... Excuse me. I won't stand idle by these utterly ridiculous and baseless accusations. I don't have time for this. What is your decision? I mean, I'm just trying to think, like, why exactly would these units necessarily have had to be put under the military? It's probably just, sort of my American perspective, but to me it just seems kind of weird that you would need to have a military-style police force that is under the military's command to handle things in more rural areas rather than just having a properly equipped police force that could handle stuff out in more rural areas. But also, I do kind of get the feeling that Leyless may have actually set this up. So you know what? We're going to keep it as it is. There will be no change related to the gendarmerie operations. You were making a mistake. Disappointing. Here I thought Anton Rain was a man of his word. Thank you for protecting the structure and authority of the Ministry of Defense. From now on, work together and don't fight among each other. I want capable and effective members of Cabinet. We will do our best, right, Mr. Lancia? That's right, Miss Graff. I left the room to attend my next scheduled meeting. Swordfish League of Women has thanked us for the personal donation. The spokesperson said, President Rain, thank you for your contributions to our cause and to the First Lady Monica, who pushed our agenda forward on the national stage. Okay, looks like nothing else to talk about. Okay, briefing on the current healthcare situation. I had a meeting scheduled with Pascal to receive the annual healthcare report. He arrived at my office with stacks of papers underneath both arms. Mr. President, he put the mountain of papers on my desk and made a loud thud sound. I know this seems like a lot. Reviewing it shouldn't take more than a day. He measured the pile again, or maybe two. Very well, thanks for bringing these in. No problem at all. They contain very important information about the status of our healthcare. Salaries, expenditures, hospital reports, whatever you like. We can go through this together. Okay, let's begin. But I don't want to bore you, so I will quickly summarize. I breathed a sigh of relief as he put on his reading glasses to look at the document he was holding. So, we have concluded our report for the year. Our services haven't necessarily gotten better compared to the last years. We have missed several funding opportunities to expand our services in the country, leading to several issues being unsolved. Don't blame yourself, it was my decision. We are in this together, Mr. President. The Ministry is trying to improve the efficiency where possible, even in this situation, I assure you. But as you can see, it hasn't been the best year for us at all. We'll do better next year, don't worry. That is what I am trying to achieve. He cleared his throat. Now that I have given you the short summary, there is a very important matter to discuss. Leaning over to grab his briefcase, he pulled out a tan-colored package. The package was stamped with big red letters that read confidential. Pascal opened the package and brought out a few documents. He handed them over to me. I took the documents from his hand. It was a report from the Ministry of Health. Each page had a stamp on it that read, "For the President's eyes only." The report was titled Polio Outbreak in Bergia. How bad is it? For now, it seems to be under control. We have put a few villages under quarantine. The total number of infected is currently 1,467. I don't know, that seems pretty high to me, buddy. The death toll is at 23 so far. If we have more outbreaks, the results will be terrible. We're not where we could have been in terms of our healthcare funding. With what we currently have, I'm afraid it might not be enough to curb the infection ratio. This is a very serious matter, Mr. President. The lives of Swordfish citizens are at stake. What can we do about it? We have done our research. There is a cure. A vaccine was recently invented in United Cantana, and the formula has been made available for free across the entire world. No matter what people think about United Cantana, if the same thing had happened in Arcasia, we would be paying a steep price for it. Unfortunately, because of the state of our current funding, we have neither the required materials nor the capability to produce this vaccine locally, which means we have to buy it. It will be costly, but nothing comes before health. Procure whatever you need immediately. You have once again proven that you were the right leader for Sordland in my eyes. Right away, Mr. President. This is a great first step, but I'm afraid simply having the vaccines won't help. We need to make sure that they are administered. We need to implement a nationwide mandatory polio vaccination policy. With your order, I can immediately get to work to ensure we are doing whatever it takes. This might seem excessive, however, it is absolutely necessary. Whatever it takes to protect Sordland, do it. Excellent. Now, if you will excuse me, I must get to work immediately. He got up from his seat. Thank you for your time, Mr. President. He left my office, leaving me alone with a lot of paperwork to go through. So, there we go. Epidemic prevented. Ooh, volcanic power. Yarktralis harnesses advanced energy solutions. Wonderful. They have geothermal. You can pause if you want to read that. Read the report on desalinization. The process of desalinization has begun, starting with the removal of Tarkinsol's statue from Capital Park. By the end of this month, it is expected that hundreds of similar statues, portraits, and other likenesses will be removed from every city and town in Sordland. Good. Less smoke bill. The Assembly passes an amendment to the tax bill of 1944 to order an increased tax revenue and reduce the excessive amount of tobacco consumption in the general populace. Section 1 of the TB of 44, which had imposed a 10% tax on all tobacco packages, will be increased to 30% on all tobacco products sold in the country. Section 2 will provide local industries by giving them a full tax exemption if the products are destined for export to other countries. And that'll get us back the one budget that we just spent to buy a bunch of polio vaccines from United Cantana. Yeah, no, that sounds great to me. We'll offset those costs. Thank you. Tobacco consumption reduced. That's another green. Time to smoke less. The administration has signed the Less Smoke Bill, aimed at increasing tax income for the government to reduce the high tobacco consumption. Tobacco was recently discovered as dangerous to personal health after researchers in United Cantana published an international paper. There have been opposing voices on the increase of the pack of cigarettes, especially foreign ones that are favored by the Sordish. This doesn't sound like an us problem. The GNA passed an amendment to the tax bill of 1944 by increasing the tax by 20% and imposing a tax exemption on local tobacco products destined for transport. President Rain has signed the bill into law, which triggered a dozen complaints from working-class citizens who smoke often. Health officials around the country have praised the discouragement of tobacco with the increased taxes. There is a debate if the administration acted on this to increase taxes or to reduce the public health concerns, or maybe both. I think both sounds great. Okay, meeting with the family. As I stepped through the front door of our stately residence, a sense of tranquility washed over me. The house was quiet, almost too quiet without Frank blasting his music from upstairs. I entered the grand study and let the warm glow of the room envelop me. Monica was sitting by the fireplace with a very old-looking book in her hands. What are you reading? Oh, I didn't realize you were home. I took some books from the presidential library. This one in particular caught my eye. She showed me the book she was reading. I didn't recognize the author, but the name definitely sounded Volgish. It's about the women's struggle in post-revolution Volksland and its breakaway states. From the presidential library? Really? I'm surprised they keep any books about the Volgish Revolution. To be honest, I was surprised too. I was told it was Tarkin Sol who collected most of them. Quite unexpected, really. But anyways, everything really going well at work? Evelyn said Peter's finally stopped drinking, or most likely stopped drinking so very much. Apparently he's been coming home a lot more often and spends most nights in his study working on documents. Really? That's good to know. He did promise me he'd work harder. Seems like he's following through. I don't know, Anton. Both of you seem to be under a massive amount of stress lately. Maybe we can make some time for a little getaway. We can have a weekend retreat out in the countryside. What do you think? Just the two of us? Well, Frank's not around anymore, and I'm sure Deanna would love a sleepover at one of her friends, so why not? Just then, we heard the patter of small feet approaching the study. Deanna appeared by the door with a piece of folded paper clutched in her hand. Mama, Papa, my school report came in. Monica and I immediately turned our attention to her, our curiosity piqued. That's my girl, I can't wait to hear about it. Deanna unfolded the paper and gave it to me. I was so close to the top of the class, I heard a mix of pride and disappointment in her voice. Let's see. Oh my, we've got a genius in the house. Watch out, world. Hullsword's number 2 student is on the loose. Deanna chuckled. You did great, darling. We're so proud of you. She knelt down and gathered Diana into her arms. I know, but I still feel kind of bad. I'm sure I would have been at the top if I'd done better in handicrafts, but those classes are so boring. And then there's that stupid blonde boy, Marcus. He never even studies, but the teachers always give him higher grades than everyone else. Don't call him stupid, baby. Who is this Marcus? I told you about him, Mommy. Marcus Clavin, the one who can't even do basic math, remember? Clavin, the name... I don't remember. From the USP. Okay, yeah, I mean, the name sounded familiar. I couldn't really remember exactly where from, though. Wait, did you just say Clavin? Yes, that's his last name. Interesting. Do you know him? I may know his father. Really? His father came to the school a couple of times and shouted at the teachers. He did what? I already told you. Isn't that the one who challenged you for a USP candidacy, Anton? Why is your party still filled with men like this? Yes, that's him all right. Great. Anyway, are you hungry? I didn't cook today, but the chef prepared a wonderful Rizian meal for us. Yes. Great, I'm starving. Me too, let's eat. She grabbed Diana's hand and we walked to the kitchen together. Okay, I was very confused for a second there because I'm like, there's no buttons and it doesn't say continue down here. Okay. Let's see. I'm pretty sure, I don't think this is an actual event, considering it's a question mark thing. I think this is basically just a, hey, do you want to attend? Yes or no? And we probably wouldn't attend. Or, well, we wouldn't be attending it right away. The Remembrance Rally of the Ashraf anniversary is about to begin in Suzerain. The Blutish movement is holding their largest rally yet to display their demands and strength. Due to the activities of the BFF in the area, the security detail advises to take caution. The administration can go to Suzerain to support the event with or without an armored convoy, or not attend at all. I feel like attending with an armored convoy probably isn't the best idea. Just from an optics point of view. So we're just gonna attend normally, you know, like normal fucking people. And then I think I'm gonna end this part here as well. A bit shorter, but that's okay. We'll survive. Oops, I didn't mean to open that up. Just kind of taking a look around. Oh, I didn't even notice that it actually placed that. Okay, interesting. Well, isn't there supposed to be another picture then of us? That one's always been there, but In theory, there should be another picture, shouldn't there? Okay. Interesting. I can understand the gramophone not being there, though. That one makes perfect sense. I'm very confused why the picture of us younger isn't there, though. But okay, whatever. Like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and end this part here. I will see you all next time, where we will be attending this event without an armored convoy, because I feel like that would probably decrease the brutish opinion of us if we decided, yes, we're going to attend your event in an armored convoy. Like, I can understand the security detail wanting us to take that measure, but I feel like it's a bad look. It's a really bad look, I imagine. So yeah, we're not doing that. But until next time, goodbye and farewell.